Many of you have been asking me about the situation in Ukraine, about my investment in Russia, Polymetal International. What will I do with this investment? Will I sell everything? Or maybe right now, this is a value opportunity. I did not make a video because it was too early to make one. I know everyone is making videos about what's happening, but when you don't have enough information, most of the information is coming from what they are saying in the news. You cannot really make a video, you cannot really talk about it. So, what I did instead was to wait, and I waited only 1 week, and today I know better about what I want to talk about this whole situation, because this is not something that we have seen in decades. So it's not that easy that you'll just come and say that this is happening and this will happen next. You don't know. It's actually less predictable than a pandemic. So today we are going to talk about this, the whole situation. What do I think about it? Will I make further investments in Russia, or just like other people, I'm just going to take my money away? And especially I want to talk about Polymetal International, because we know that commodities right now are doing well, especially oil. Even gold, silver is doing well, but you look at Polymetal International, it's going in the opposite direction. And since this is a stock I have been holding since nearly 3 years, I believe it is important to talk about it. Before we go into details, please make sure to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. If you're new to the channel, my name is Ishfaaq. I am an elite popular investor on eToro. Please make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss the coming videos. Everything that's happening right now in Ukraine, it's really bad. It's not that this is not something that we would have expected to see in 2022, but it's happening right now, and there is nothing we can do about it. Of course, other countries are taking actions, sanctions, and I believe that these sanctions are going to be useful in the long term, because I have lived in Russia for 5 years. I lived in Russia and I stayed near the Ukrainian border, so I know how the situation might be there. And believe me, people are not that pro Putin as you would think in Russia. I know that the news, you will see that everybody worships him there, but the young people, most of them that I know, they don't really support him. So there is a high percentage of the young population that doesn't support him. So these sanctions affecting their lives, it's going to affect his regime in Russia. Because if you cannot buy an iPhone in Russia now, many people are unhappy about it. Of course, we cannot know for sure what will happen in the short term, in the long term. We'll have to see. But hopefully things will get better. And I know that before I have said that it's not an issue that there are political controversy. If there are opportunities, you can invest in them. But this is not a political controversy. A political controversy is whether private prisons are good or bad, because there are different opinions based on Western values itself. So there are people in the West, in the US, those people are discussing different opinions about something, about a certain issue. It can be abortion, it can be something else. This is a political controversy. But what we are seeing in Russia, this is not a political controversy, because here there is a fascist regime that is set to destroy Western civilization. There is no political controversy here. Now, we should go beyond this, beyond politics. Let's think about what we'll do. First of all, investing in Russia right now, I believe, is a very bad idea. I know that many people are investing. They are looking at Sberbank. The stock fell, I think, 50% on a single day. It looks like a value stock. Next day, it falls by further 50%. Now it looks like a devalue stock. So many people invested. And then what happened on the third day? It crashed by 95%. Now the stock will be delisted. And in Russia, they have already closed the stock exchange. So don't use your definition of value investing or value stocks, your US definition, your American definition of value stock. Don't apply this to a fascist dictatorship. This is not how it works. I always say what you should look for are the fundamentals. So if you're investing in a business today, let's say you're investing in Apple, you know that there are fundamentals. They are selling these iPhones. There is a market for their products, the iPhones they're selling. And then every year, every day, not actually every year, people are going to buy products, and more dollars is coming into, more cash flow in terms of dollars is coming on their balance sheet, and eventually they can buy back shares, they can pay dividends to this. These are fundamentals. If you value a company such as Apple based on this, you can put an intrinsic value and say, okay, it is undervalued or not, it is a buy or not. You take a margin of safety, of course. But this is different if you're doing this with a company in Russia right now, because you don't even know the Russian ruble that the company is obtaining today and the Russian ruble it will obtain after a year, what will be the difference? You can know maybe there is inflation in the US, 7%. It will go down probably, let's say an average of 5%. So you can even say a company today is having $100 million in revenues. Next year is going to be $120 million. But because of inflation, let's say that 120 is worth only $114 million. But still, you know that the company grew its revenue by 14%. So these are fundamentals. In real terms, 14% growth in revenue, this is a great company in my opinion. But now, if you are looking at a Russian company, this year making 100 million US dollars, and then because of the ruble devaluation, next year that's only going to be 50 million US dollars. And then because of more sanctions now, actually the company is not making the same amount of revenues it made this year. More sanctions came and it's only making 10 million US dollars. This is a possibility that can happen. Don't tell me that it will not happen because we don't know for how long these sanctions are going to be. They can go worse than that. Russia is out of the SWIFT system. Many Russian banks, not all of them. What will European countries stop buying gas from Russia? Probably something they can do. Right now, they don't have the logistics to do it, but probably if this war goes on for 5 years, they'll be ready to do it. Cut all ties with Russia. So why are you investing there? It's not a value opportunity. You cannot use the same formula you use. I know I tell you there is no formula, but you cannot use the same formula you use in the US, in the Western world, applying it to a country that has just invaded its neighbor for no apparent reason. You cannot do this. And even though in the news they're showing you that the Ukrainians are fighting, this war is far from over. It's far from over. Of course, I want the Ukrainians to win, but it's far from over. There is so much things that is going to happen next because there is no going back here. You cannot just come and say that, okay, I invaded them by mistake, so let's move on. You cannot do this anymore. So the real consequences are not just going to be in the short term. Don't think that after 1 month or even 1 year, everything will be back to normal. There is no going back to normal now. Putin has crossed the line. He has crossed the Rubicon now. And I don't think he'll survive this. Because he will either commit suicide like Hitler or he'll be found in a hole of his own poop like Saddam. But I don't think he will survive this. There is no surviving this now. And he has made threats of using nuclear weapons. There is no surviving this now. And don't think that Russians cannot revolt. If they revolted against the Russian Empire, they revolted against the Soviet Union, why can't they revolt against the Russian Federation, which is much, much weaker than these two? The Russian Empire, the Soviet Union were superpowers. The Russian Federation is not. It's a regional power. And now with all these sanctions, it's a regional joke. If you think Russians cannot revolt against Putin, you're wrong. I have lived in Russia. I know that it's not that easy. It's not in America. Like when people tell you to wear masks, you're going to revolt. It's not going to be like this. But hungry people don't like to be hungry for long. So what will be my advice to you to stay out of Russian companies right now? So what about Polymetal International? I have already sold my position in Polymetal International. Even though gold prices are going up, even though if I do the analysis, I calculate the intrinsic value of Polymetal International today, I can give you that it is undervalued. Because it is undervalued. You look at the amount of money they are using to produce gold, the amount of money they can make with current gold prices, and you know that their buyer, the main buyer, will be the Russian government. There is no reason that they will be affected by sanctions or anything, because the Russian government will be buying gold from them. But as I told you, we cannot really apply the same formula for value investing there. Okay, I need to put a margin of safety because I don't know what will be the value of the ruble 1 year from now, 5 years from now. So how much do I put that margin of safety? I cannot just put it at 25% with all these uncertainties. If I put it at 90%, then it is no longer a buy. So why should I be holding? Because I'm down 80% on the position. And the stock at the current price, it needs to be a 10 bagger at least for it to reach all-time high. And at some point, I was holding the stock at all-time high. So all these profits I lost, do you think it's going to be a 10 bagger? And even if it is a 10 bagger, for how long? How long will it take to be a 10 bagger? Not 1 year. And I better invest somewhere else. I have lost money. You have to accept sometimes you make an investment, things will go bad. you lose money and you move on. This is what you should do in such situations. I'm not telling you not to invest in Polymetal International, not to invest in Ishfaaq, not to invest in Russia. If you want to invest, please go ahead, because really, you look at the stock, you calculate the intrinsic value of the stocks, they are undervalued. But I don't think we can apply the same formula we apply to calculate intrinsic value there. Because if you're doing discounted owner's earnings, once again, you don't know the value of the ruble today will be, of course, more than the value of the ruble in a year, because the value of money today is more than the value of money in a year. We can use this with the dollars, but not with the ruble. When this thing is crashing like a Russian plane, you're not even sure if Russia will still be in existence in a year. This country is on the brink of collapse. The economy is on the brink of collapse. And you think a country without an economy, the country is on the brink of collapse. I'm pretty sure that Ukraine will survive longer than Russia right now. Of course, maybe I'm optimistic about this, but once again, I'm not going to invest in Ukraine also, because if you have emotions, know of this. So whenever you have emotions involved, don't invest. What about investing in other things outside Ukraine, outside Russia? What about investing in Europe? There's going to be high inflation surely in Europe. And there is actually opportunity now developing in Europe, which did not exist before, especially in aerospace and defense. Because for all these decades, Europe has been dependent on NATO, that is on the US. The US spends, I think, 4% of their GDP on defense, while the minimum for NATO is 2%. So many European countries, NATO countries, are spending less than the 2%. That's why Donald Trump was unhappy with NATO. But now, when they see a threat on their doorsteps, of course they have to increase spending. So there is money to be made, if you want, in defense in Europe. What about defense in America? So far, this war is not really affecting America so much. This war is going to be mostly in Europe, and Russia doesn't want to attack America. They know if they attack America, it's done for them. 50 million people will die in minutes. And when I'm telling you they, it's mostly Putin, because he's the only person who takes all the decisions there. And you need to ask yourself, what does he want? He doesn't want to make Russia great again. He doesn't care about Russia. He doesn't care about the Russian people. All he cares for himself is to make himself a part of history, to leave a legacy. So he wants to be considered as one of the greatest rulers of Russia, like Peter the Great, like Catherine the Great. And he can see that his power is going away, because there was a sort of revolution in Belarus last year. He was near to losing Belarus. He already lost Ukraine. He lost Latvia. He lost Estonia. So he can see he lost Kazakhstan recently. So he sees that there are revolutions all around him. And this revolution will eventually come to Russia, that his power that he holds is going away. So he wants to hold that power. That's why he's invading Ukraine. And he invaded Crimea, which is part of Ukraine, in 2014. You saw that his popularity in Russia skyrocketed back then. So he thought maybe he will invade Ukraine once again. The same thing will happen. In 2008, he invaded Georgia. Not Georgia, the US state, Georgia, the country. And his popularity skyrocketed. So he thought maybe he'll do the same thing. But it's not the same anymore. We'll see every time that his popularity falls to the low 60s, he's invading a new country. But this time, this is different. Georgia, Crimea, those were mostly Russian-speaking people that they were not so unhappy about joining Russia, or even though those two parts of Georgia that they did not really join Russia, but they were not so unhappy about being independent. Even in Donbass, if he was making them independent, this war had been ongoing for 8 years, but even let's assume Donbass, that two regions there, became independent, Donetsk and Lugansk, even that would not be so bad actually, and people in Russia would still be confident about Putin. But invading Ukraine, invading the capital of Ukraine, this is not something that he'll be forgiven about. This is not something that the world will forget about. So what should you do in such a situation? Invest in bonds, invest in gold, in oil. I don't recommend investing in bonds. Talking about bonds, Russia raised their interest rates. So now when you're calculating the intrinsic value of companies, you need to remember that you need to use a higher discount rate. And we don't know how much these discount rates will go up. So take all of that into consideration. That's why I'm telling you that we cannot use the same formula we use in the US there. So yes, are you going to invest in gold? I'm not a fan of investing in gold. Prefer investing in a gold miner, but we know that unfortunately I made this mistake. It's not really a mistake. I did not know what would have happened. I invested in a gold miner that happens to be a country that invaded its neighbor. It was undervalued back then, so I'm not going to say it is a mistake. Just because something bad happened doesn't mean that the decision you took was a bad one, because bad things will happen, you like it or not. Even if you're the best of people, bad things are going to happen to you. But of course, you have to move on once you know that something bad is happening. If now I hold it or I buy more, it will be a mistake. So you have to know when to move on. Coming back to investments, what are the investments we can make? For me, it didn't change anything. I'm still going to look at great companies. Of course, inflation now is going to last longer, especially in Europe. In America, I don't think it's going to be affected that much. Are we going to see a recession? Some people are calling that we'll see a recession. I don't think we will right now. There are sectors which, of course, will do better. Energy, defense will do better. Will I invest in these sectors? It really depends if I find great opportunities there. So for me, right now, in this first week of this war, it did not really change my investment strategy at all, except Polymetal International. This is something I had to sell. Apart from that, nothing changed for me. Of course, I don't know if in a month things will change, in a year if things will change, maybe. But so far, nothing has changed because there are so many uncertainties right now, and I'm not going to change my investing strategy just because there is a war. So we need to wait and see how things are evolving. So let me know in the comments what do you think about all this situation. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, subscribe and share. Please watch these two videos if you missed them. Have a nice day and goodbye.